Psych Ward, Book 1 by Alastair Wilson. Read by Shiva Wilson. Part 3. I could argue that psychosis doesn't have a strong enough medical or scientific explanation to be considered real. It could be as made up a state as the fairies a psychotic person can dialogue with if he or she happens to have that ability. This is a case of a minority of minds being persecuted and tyrannized by the majority of minds. I suggest a bit of humanity here. Compassion, not laughing at, deriding, sectioning, throwing people in the loony bin as soon as they start talking a bit of crazy talk. There are probably valid experiences and perceptions underlying the communications of ideas that we don't currently understand. Perhaps the mentally ill need more care and understanding than we are accustomed to offering. Perhaps that's our fault as normals. If I am communicating in a way that you don't understand, perhaps that lack of understanding is created as much by your inability to go beyond normal ideas and communications as it is created by my inability to present ideas in an easy to understand way. Perhaps there is some way to meet the psychotic or depressive person on his or her level. That may require a massive undertaking of listening, patience, seeking to understand, and genuine caring. Or we could dope them up to the eyeballs. That seems to do the trick quickly enough. But does it really do the trick? Or does it bury symptoms under a chemical fire blanket, a chemical smothering, a chemical numbness? I would say that my friend Kevlar the Ragamuffin is still suffering from some degree of psychosis, whatever that might be. His sentence structures don't always make sense. He jumps between topics seemingly at random without any indication of how he got there. Some of his views and opinions seem to be deeply misguided and not based upon observable phenomena. Luckily for me, I don't have an excessive need for anyone to be other than they are anymore. I don't have a need for other people's conversations to make explicit sense. I can quite happily converse with someone in the throes of psychosis and still feel like I'm on the same level as them. The human connection is all that's needed. Maybe it's because I've been through what they are going through, so I have learned on an intuitive level the language of psychosis. Ditto depression. I am quite comfortable with someone in the depths of depression, and I'm not offended by their wish to die, cut themselves, and tell me about how desperately awful the whole universe is. I can be with a person, and I do not have to be personally threatened by this set of mind patterns. Bully for me. As you might have guessed, this makes me better than you. I am more caring than you. I am wiser than you. I am more compassionate than you. I am the perfect human being in all important ways, and my imperfections are not important, so they don't count, nor do they exist. I am more arrogant than you. I am the fucking Messiah. According to Zen Out Mark, he was the fucking Messiah, man. I'm the fucking Messiah, he said. So there. That makes two of us. I guess I'm the second coming and he is the third coming. If we get a few more comings, we can have a brouhaha of messiahs spunking our Jesus juice over a cross inside a magic circle. There we are. Now you know. Good for you. It's all a question of degree anyway. If psychosis is defined as a detachment or disconnection from objective reality, then everyone in the whole world is psychotic to some degree. Unless you have completely pure perception and have no beliefs filtering the information between your awareness and the outside world, then you are psychotic to that degree. I bet you've never really looked at the world around you without judgment or filter. It's quite bizarre the first time this happens, the first time you manage to see the world without thoughts, desires, and ideas getting in the way of it all. Non-figurative, abstract paintings are a good thing to try this on. Pick a beautiful one. Preferably one you can feel comfortable staring at for between 10 minutes and half an hour. An hour if you really get into it and have the time. Right. Go get a non-figurative abstract painting. Non-figurative means without figures, so without representations of actual objects, still lifes, or people. No figures. No nudes reclining, no flowers, no sunsets, no fucking Guernica. Nothing wrong with Guernica, but it will be more difficult to see it in the clear seeing state because it clearly has figures in relation to each other that mean something. That's fine, but it's a bit too thought-provoking for our purposes here. I want you to see a piece of art without having any thoughts confusing or interpreting your experience of the art. I want you to see it. Look, here's a quick diagram to explain two ways of seeing, the thought-clouded way and the clear-seeing way. Imagine thoughts as a screen between the art and your retina. Brain image, blah, 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 damn crackhead, beep, jabber, jabber. Thoughts, blah, 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 damn crackhead, jabber, jabber. Art piece, clear. Let's say that your mental image of the piece is directly controlled by your retina. Let's say that you have a lot of thoughts going on about the piece. Now, your thoughts demand a lot of attention, and every time your attention is more on the thoughts, you're not seeing the piece. You're seeing your thoughts about the piece. So next diagram. This will involve some effort and it may hurt your brain to begin with. The clear seeing way. Brain image, clear. No thoughts in the way. Art piece, clear. When there are no thoughts getting in the way, you can see the piece in total clarity. Your mental image of the piece is effectively a pure replication of the image on the canvas or paper. This is currently an unusual way to see art. The usual way is to be having a constant conversation in your mind about the art, whether you like or dislike it, how it makes you feel, what you think it means, whether you have enough to buy it, etc. Whether the artist killed himself because a 5-year-old could have painted this, for example. Blah, blah, blah. There is another way where you literally see the art. Non-figurative abstract work is quite good for this because there is less for the mind to have a natter about. There are patterns of colours, textures, and shapes. There's not much to say about them, but you can certainly enjoy their brightness, aliveness, and the sense of vivid presence that they display. So try it. Download a piece of work or two, print them out, hold them up to your eyes so they fill your visual field if possible. The artwork is all you're going to look at for the next 10 to 30 minutes, and your job is to look. Do not seek to gain any meaning nor any revelatory insight from the art. Look. You are likely to get bored and start thinking about how boring or difficult this task is. Pointless too, no doubt. The idea is to stop seeing the art as something that relates to yourself and to see the art as it is. See what's there, but don't say what's there. Not yet. You can say stuff mentally or verbally or write it down afterwards. But first, see it. If you get it, you will have an experience that is totally out of the ordinary and quite incomprehensible in the normal way. You can see clearly. It's almost as though your mind is in direct contact with the paint or page. There is no barrier. It's quite cool. And it can be restful if you can learn to look at art in clear awareness. It gives your thinking mind a break, which can be very refreshing. Overthinking tends to lead to headaches anyway. Wink. Go on, give it a shot. Even practice at it if you wish. If you do practice at it, then it will be helpful to use a different piece of art each time, as your impression of the first experience will quickly become a fixed perception to begin with. You'll most likely find it difficult to access the clear seeing modality twice in a row for the same piece because your thoughts and perceptions about the last time I looked, I saw this and that and I felt this or that will get in the way. It's quite fun, and it feels magical and mystical. It's similar to reading a spiritual text, listening to an enchanting piece of instrumental music, or watching a waterfall. Something magical and unseen seems to come into the quality of seeing when you observe art, or any object for that matter, a pebble or flower for example, in the clear seeing state. Failing that, read the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu and try to figure out what the hell it means. I remember quite clearly the first time I read the Tao Te Ching. I'd bought a copy of it from The Works thrifty discount bookstore in their Mind, Body, Spirit section. It was a little book, a fat little hardcover pocket book. This was cool in itself. Pocket books are cool! No unnecessary bending nor satchels. Wink! I sat there on a bench in a playground across the road from where I was living. A bit of peace and quiet. All the children had gone home. Good. It was summer and evening-ish, around 5 or 6 p.m. Still nice and warm. Warm. I sat there and read the little introduction to the translation. The book is about 3,000 years old and has many different translations in circulation. Then I started reading the first tiny poetic little chapter. The Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. You what? Boom. I could sense that this meant something very deep, but I'd be buggered if I knew what it was. The words had the effect of silencing my mind and slowing my emotions down. It was as if some magical power transfused through the book and put me into a very pleasant daze. It felt like smoking weed, but without the paranoia. A calming, soothing slowing down of thought. My mind was used to racing around, conjuring all kinds of ideas and projects, desires, conceptions, jokes, fears, needs, interpretations, causes, plans, schedules, etc. This little book sat there and slowed all this crap down virtually immediately and put me in a happy little trance. It felt incredibly soothing and confounding at the same time. The words needed consideration to find their meaning, but that they were meaningful was immediately clear to me. This trying to find the meaning took me into that slow, calm, considering state. Give it a go. Go get the Tao Te Ching. Everyone has a different experience of everything, so expect the knob expected and have whatever experience you have while reading it. Have your own experience and response to reading it. Filter coffee up your arse! That little bit above ticks my little box. I should get a clipboard and a white coat, really. A tick can go in the box of helping you to achieve spiritual enlightenment. I do my best. Akela, we do our best. You have to say the above phrase while standing in a circle, facing a flag and wearing a Cub Scout uniform, holding up 3 fingers of one hand or other. Right or left, I can't remember. Left on society's reject heap, festering in a hospital bed, contemplating suicide, then escape tactics, finding them lacking, then contemplating suicide again. Did you know you aren't allowed headphones or any wiry thing on mental health wards due to the risk of suicide by musical self-throttling? That was annoying. Thankfully, my parents bought me a little portable stereo system after a while. Not that anything was going to have any impact on my state of mental despair at that time. Still, it's nice to hear different sounds from time to time, isn't it? I hope you're starting to connect to that sense of overwhelming personal tragedy. If you haven't done so already, I suggest you start getting on with some weeping. Have a good little defenseless, unashamed weep for the plight of the disenchanted, secluded, mentally dislocated members of the world's psych wards. Cry in fear, if you like, the fear that it could happen to you. Cry in gladness that it's not you. Cry in sympathetic suffering that you acknowledge how horrible this is for people. Feel that love and wish for a better world. That will be enough. Sympathetic grief. If you can grieve for us, then maybe you'll be personally less likely to contribute to the problem. What is the problem exactly? People are suffering, in pain, psychological and emotional distress. Not psych ward inpatients, normal people. People in pain of any kind. People in fear. People who feel all messed up inside, no matter how great their lives look. People who are wealthy but deeply lonely. People who are socially happy but deeply hungry, starving. Babies who are treated with neglect or not treated at all. All this stuff. Have a good go at crying about it. And even if you don't do anything explicit to make it better for anyone, at least you can resolve to not make it any worse. That will be a start. If that's all you feel you can do, that will be enough, and I thank you for it. Closing time is starting to gallop towards me at the moment. Luckily, I am well skilled at jumping onto the horse of time and riding off somewhere else, preferably without falling off. I'll do my best. You know, one day we will all fall off life's radar, over the edge of life and into the abyss of death. Best enjoy and appreciate it while you can, I say. Death doesn't really matter. Not really. Pain matters because it hurts. Life matters because it's right here in front of us at all times. Happiness matters because it feels good. Get on with living. Bring yourself to bear upon this task of living with full commitment to that which is in front of you. Get to it. Life is all around you, if not for the plucking, then for the seeing, the tasting, the smelling, the appreciating. Enjoy it as best you can. I can see why consciousness might choose to experience depression. Like a child without a playmate, there may well be nothing else to do but play games with imaginary thoughts. In the absence of any more exciting and fulfilling options, consciousness might choose to become depressed because it's something to do, and that's better than nothing, eh? I do hope that some sense of life affirmingness is shining through all this talk of death and loss and insanity. I'm doing my best. I'd like to make you quite dishevelled and defenceless if I can. I'd like to shrivel you up into deep sobbing in the acceptance of, yes, I am alive. Yes, life is real. Yes, I do hurt. Yet above it all, I am free. I am here. I exist. And somewhere, swimming through it all, is love. Time for my end of session review. What will you do? I'm going to go out onto Windsor High Street and feel quite bohemian while reading out my works of genius to a couple of street smokers. One of them I know is sitting on a bench listening to a bagpipe whistling folk playing busker. The other one I know is sitting on a towel on the floor with a satchel next to him, a bagpipe whistle in his hands and mouth, a little hat with a few coins glistening in the twilight. They enjoyed my last spontaneous book reading jaunt. Let's whip it up again. Shazam! Good night, cruel world. I hate you all. Your mum is fucking your dad's best mate. Eat my snot. I love you. Fuck you. Kiss, 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 kiss. 13th of the 11th, 2016. Somewhere, swimming through it all, is love. You what, mate? Welcome back to the jungle. It's gone 12 p.m. and there are a lot of people walking around in the world. People are wearing earpieces that link them to the hyperweb, and I am bored of writing already. I'm slightly hungover, and the line of cocaine I sniffed, right up my nostrils I have, you know, is still occasionally reminding me that it was sniffed. It gave me an immediate cold and a sore throat. I won't be trying it again, at least not before lunch. It seems to be a bit of a pointless drug. I'm already confident and chatty and liberal with my thoughts, thank you very much. It didn't have much of an effect. I think the drug makers should try harder. Well, no one's perfect. I have the same issue with weed. I don't really need the stuff. It makes my body go all zingy. Is this really necessary? I'm not sure. I'll report back from my deathbed and let you know. I'm going to hazard a no. We'll see. I still have a lot to say and a lot of adventuresome stories to tell, but the page is a bit slow today and the pen is milling about for the moment. I went to America. The big one. The Big Apple. The windy alien. I went to America. The United States. I saw people picking through dustbins for food. There are many things I saw and did. Nutty Nap, for example. Well, I didn't do her, much to my chagrin. I was the only white member of the Ngala tribe, so I'm not sure it would be allowed, would it? There was a lot of sex going around in the hostel. Most of it could be attributed to Kwaku. He was not involved in the Ngala tribe, though if he had the balls to admit it, I'm sure he fancied our robes. Hey, English! Down in front! She called me English because I was English. Makes sense, I guess. That wasn't Nutty Nut nor Kwaku. If we wanted to give her a name, then we would, but I shan't. Well, that's enough about America then. I wasn't really the only white member of the Ngala tribe. There was no Ngala tribe. I made it up. It fooled a few people, though. I couldn't be asked to keep explaining where I came from, so I made up a tribe. This was much more amusing. People always want to know where you're from. Gah, it gets tedious after a while. So, Ngala it is. I was also wearing a golden silky African dress, a bandana, and occasionally sandals. It all hung together quite well. I really feel like I'm ruining the awesomeness of the trip by condensing it into silly little sequences of letters on paper. Rah! So disrespectful to the trip. I feel like I'm fucking it all up and not doing any of it justice. However, I am doing my best, as I promised Arcala. This sectional seems very fruity and full of colour. I feel like I have to explain all these characters now. Bloody hell! Oh, bloody, bloody, bloody hell, hell, hell! Bloody, bloody, bloody hell! It's annoying. I can see all these hairy chumps sitting there inside me shouting, "Describe me! Tell my story!" And there are too many of them. Shh, you scallywags! Right. Kwaku. What's he got to say for himself? Mission statement. Do a bit of work, shag my way round the hostel. Shazam! That was easy. Right. Nutty Nat. Full name, Natalie. Mission statement. Be a cult of one. Clean everything thoroughly. Kwaku never shagged Natalie, not so far as I was aware, and I was very aware. Awareness is where it's at. Natalie did not shag Kwaku either. I'm almost more certain of that than the other way around. She was quite unshaggable, unfortunately. She was gross looking. She looked like one of those small, sprightly dinosaurs from Jurassic Park. Maybe she was one in a past life. Could be. She had green duck pond eyes. Algae. So she had these eyes. They don't really require commentary, but while we're here, I may as well. They were green and donutty, glazed and round, glazy. This is always a problem. The more glazing, sometimes double glazing, a person has on their eyes, the more trouble they're going to be. Sorry, glazing and clouding are different. Glazing is better than clouding, but clarity, colour and richness is the best, though still not always indicative of mental enlightenment. Plus, it does change. No one's eyes are always clouded, glazed, or richly intense and clear. Natalie's eyes were definitely more cloudy than glazed, also empty and vacant. This is a particularly troubling combination. Clouded, and then, when not clouded, empty and vacant. Poor girl. These eyes denote repressed suffering, a denial of present experience, over-intense goal orientation that will squash other people on the way to the goal, and her eyes, clouded or vacant, say, I am totally fucking nuts. But you have to listen pretty hard to hear it. She cleaned a lot, and she cleaned well. More on her later. I am desperately trying to run away from all this, and I'm farting a lot. I feel as though I'm going to get sucked into the page again, and I don't really fancy that. I'm going to go for a poo to be safe. It went well. Disabled toilet, much more spacious. There were some unsightly poo stripes left on the U-bend. Bully for the toilet brush. She got some action. Gross. Dross, doctoros. The name's Ros, Fieros. Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Hey, English! Down in front! English! Hey, English! Man, this guy ain't paying attention. We can call her American, since she called me English. That will do. She was black and snazzy, frizzy hair, boobs, at least 7 of them, maybe more, all crammed into a small space. 2 of them were making a bid for freedom out of her top, but the top said, no, you stay there and look alluring. So they did. They did indeed. I was watching some documentary on the hostel TV set. TV stands for television. Although televisions are still all the rage at the moment, soon they will be replaced. Mostly by onions. And why not? It was a documentary. I was watching it. I was in a hostel. The hostel had a lounge. I was in the lounge. The lounge had a TV. I was watching the TV. Are you getting all this down? Get down! Dana! Dana! Get to the chopper! Get down! English! Hey, English! Get out of the way, man. Other people trying to watch, you know. American, she was trying to watch the TV too, or so I gather. I was pretty sure the program would be wasted on her eyes, and it was highly important that I watch intently and take good notes. Are you taking notes, dear reader? Look, if I have to take notes, you have to take notes too. At least 5 notes. Get on with it. Fourth wall, my arse. There's no walls in books, for goodness sake. Breaking the fourth wall indeed. Unsuspending the suspenders of disbelief. Pah! Boppy schlock. I won't have it. It's quite simple. You are looking at words on a page. Therefore, you exist. How could you look at words on a page or screen if you didn't exist? You are the reader. I am the writer. In that order. That's an order, gentlemen. At ease, soldier. I saw a woman's bum crack earlier on. In the middle of Starbucks, of all places. A woman's bum crack floating around looking at passers-by. Bum cracks should not be allowed. They should be given a proper burial. She obviously wasn't wearing the requisite layers of underpants. Just in case. There was a room where we all put our cases. A tenuous link, but a link nonetheless, notwithstanding either. It was called the luggage room. I shall have words with you about the luggage room later. Bloody nonsense. This is intensely hard work at the moment, reader-rationator. I'd prefer to chat with a small, sprightly vegan dinosaur, but she's not available at the moment. Here's a game for you. I'm sure you've already had a go at this. The game is twofold. Number 1. Try to figure out when I'm writing about my immediate experience while writing and when I'm writing about the past. Number 2. Try to figure out which parts of my story are true, told in a jokey way, and which parts are made up because I can. Here's a third part too, for extra boner points. Try to figure out if there is any hidden meaning among the nonsense. I assure you there is. Not all the time though, that's the game. Also, make sure to look at the letters on the page, for that is how we read. That's how we roll. Isn't that right, dear snazzy ones? The documentary was about the 1960s. The free love stuff, the social movements, the hippies, the LSD, the stuff. Lots of stuff happened in the 60s, and most of it seems like it was about time. Jolly good. You see, I was interested in where it all went wrong. Why did it all dissolve and the hippie culture with its progressive values of love everybody, man, disappear into a few select caravan parks? It seemed like a good idea. All this important music, hugging, and plenty of nudism. We could do with a bit more nudism on the streets these days. Well, wait till summer, maybe. I saw the 1960s as a mass spiritual awakening of sorts. It was short-lived, however, and I wanted to know why. I concluded during my note-taking that it was because of the drugs. Drugs are time-limited. Their lovey-dovey psychedelic spiritual influence only lasts as long as they're in your system. Then they fuck you up after a while too. I had that cocaine about a month ago now, and it's still giving my nostrils occasional jip. I've got a jippy nose, lass. Unfair enough. Expect the expected. Pected. That was a chicken noise. Great. English! Get your head down, man! I'm pretty sure I said something vile. I can't remember. It might have been even a racist thing, or a sexist thing, or a common or garden rude thing. Either way, she was mad at me for saying it. What did you say? English? I can't remember what happened next. I think I did my silent power glare. That usually does the trick. Still does. Very effective, the power glare. It's all a matter of commitment. Usually, dead-on, unflinching eye contact will spook out even the most violent of verbal assaults, but you have to be very committed and look right into the person's soul until they realize they're acting out of character and they snap out of their rage. It requires an intense degree of fearlessness, commitment to yourself, the moment, and the other person. In fact, I have recently used a power glare to de-escalate someone who wanted to knock my block off because I accidentally spilled his drink. I looked him dead in the eye. First, this sparked him further. I thought he would headbutt me. I stepped back just in case and maintained the soul-piercing eye contact. He came forward. There was a moment where we both looked into each other's eyes and I had the weird experience of our souls merging somehow, and he snapped out of his nonsense and became like a puppy dog. He started treating me like a friend. Look, we don't want no trouble really, do we? You're all right? How was your night? Safe trip home and stuff, etc. It was quite bizarre. But you know, people aren't violent at their core. Not really. People are violent on the surface. At their core, they're all right. Power to the stair, man. As I say, you have to be pretty fucking fearless to stand non-violently looking someone in the eye when the odds are that he'd quite like to rid you of some body part or other. You have to gamble your spiritual strength against your fear of injury. Plus, the energy of the situation means that you would probably also quite like to knock their block off. That's hard going to stay non-violent through. It can be done, but it's best avoided in general. Fun to test your abilities, but all round not necessary, and only do it if you absolutely have to. Otherwise, move away without a fuss and run the energy out of your system somehow. Running, for example, or star jumps, that will do. Full stop. We've got lost again, haven't we? How did I get to America? Who is Cuthbert? Who is Sally? How does this sequence work? Sally, Cuthbert, Hazel, America. What about uni? It all has to come out. I have to flush it all out. Flesh it all out for this to make sense. Again, cheese board consciousness. You can try a bit of Ward 12 Brie, a bit of Cuthbert's Home Stilton, a bit of America-style Wensleydale, a couple of niblets of present-day cheddar, a morsel or so of Reading University Boursin. Who eats whole blocks of cheese all in one go anyway? Much better to have these flavoursome titbits to chew over succulently. We'll jump into the river of story consciousness at some point, and we can take one type of cheese in our little rucksack or hamper. I am a camper. Cuthbert was camper than me. I'm not that camp at all, really. He was. It seemed if he ever dropped the campness down a notch, someone would pull his trousers down. Best to keep it up. His knob was bigger than mine too. He did gay better than me in general. I was only doing it because I felt I had to. Time for a break. Schnitzel? Kiss, kiss, kiss? Question mark. Schnitzels and pretzels are not the same thing. This is deep wisdom now. Get your notepad out, flip to your worldly wisdom section. Section 3, fucking Mental Health Act. I'm going to tribunal your black asses. Fucking Section 3 indeed. I got given a little pamphlet. I have options now. You always have options, by the way. Even if your only option is to hate the lack of options, accept the lack of options, or be happy about the lack of options. Misery is not strictly necessary. To some degree, misery is optional. I'm sure Viktor Frankl would attest to that. Misery is optional. Something to keep you going when you can't be asked to feel anything else. Not all homeless people are miserable. I don't know if you've noticed. The majority, at least 51% of people, don't notice homeless people at all, let alone their apparent emotional state. People tend to tune them out like the sound of an ostrich sneezing. You don't hear that very often, do you? It's because you've tuned the ostrich sneezing out of your consciousness. They're everywhere, sneezing ostriches. You're just not listening hard enough. I recommend flossing out your ears with lemon juice because I want to recommend it. I don't hear any quibbling. Good. Let us continue. Most people tune out the hobo mainly because they're unsightly, and if you look at them, you might invite their smell into your life also. If there was some large brush available, I'm sure most people would be quite happy to sweep the homeless off the streets and under a large woolen rug. Elsewhere. Oh God, not another grotty beggar. Is it still illegal to shoot people in the head? Ah, that's a shame. Oh well, let's pretend they don't exist. That's the least we can do. They probably eat their own bogies. It doesn't bear thinking about, Dennis. I am not so callous. Remember, I am way better than you at everything, including humility. Misery is not written into the hobo job description, although many act as though it is. I have seen a few hobosexuals, street tramps, super tramps, ruffians, scallywags, and grotty little farts in my time. I have been one myself. So, eat my nut-flavoured turnips. Nips! I have noticed that misery is not necessarily the path to success for the trampy ones. Oh, trampy one! Oh, trampilicious ones! Oh, donutty trampies! I'm sure that some of them have realized the truth that schnitzels are not the same as pretzels and that, therefore, they have options. You always have options, by the way. One particular hobo-tato on Windsor High Road seems to be quite militant about maintaining as deep a misery pit as possible. Very committed. He is searching deep within the clouds of his eyes and hoping to find the sun. Unfortunately, the clouds are quite intent on staying clouds, and are not very keen on getting any wispier than necessary. He stares off, cloudy and forlorn, wilfully forlorn, and makes sure the fog in his brain definitely is more important than that which lies beyond. Others seem more chirpy about the whole thing. They're probably taking better drugs, but whatever the case, you have a choice. This situation sucks. I can be miserable about it, or I can try something else. If you have to be miserable about life, be fully committed to that misery, and eventually it will be satisfied with itself. Most people don't put enough effort into being miserable. They'd rather not. I say full speed ahead into misery and then pop out the other side sooner or later. I half-heartedly want to go up to this slovenly wretch and say, "How's it going, mate?" Then have a chat for a while about the weather and how cold he must be and if he wants a cup of tea. Then right at the end, I'd like to be quite patronising and say, "Look, mate, you're homeless, you're cold, you're hungry. Now you can either be miserable about all this, or you can choose to be happy about all this. If you're going to sit on the street every day anyway, you may as well sit on the street happily. What have you got to lose?" I doubt he'd get it. It's quite annoying when people tell you how to feel, so I probably won't do it. I know that if I was homeless again, I'd probably be alright with it all. I swear being miserable makes you feel colder anyway. Cuckoos don't have jobs and they seem pretty happy about it. Ducks don't have any money and they get by alright. Mah! Meh. I'm sure one day if anyone reads this apart from me, maybe I should give Jim a copy. He's not up to much. Suspended animation must be dull. Maybe I'll unsuspend his eyes so he can read the manuscript for Psych Ward while he's waiting for me to unfreeze him. I might get around to rescuing him at some point too. One day, if anyone reads this, I'm sure at least one of them will say, "I wonder what's the significance of Jim?" And they can have a good old stab at figuring it all out. Hopefully I'll work it out before they do so I can stay one step ahead. I think the Psych Ward is calling me again. I can hear its echoey corridors. They're saying something. They say it every day at around 7:30 a.m. I don't know what bloody time it is. I'm always asleep when it's medication! Medication time! Medication time, everybody! Medication! Roll up, get your very own bona fide set of red, pink, blue, green or white pills. Open wide, knock 'em back, show me your tongue and your open cheeks so I can see you've definitely swallowed them down. We can't have you walking around having strange experiences, saying strange things and acting strangely now, can we? No, nurse, I must take my pills. I know. Medication! Come on, everybody, rise and shine. It's medication time. Nurse Anthony, gay nurse. Gay, smiley, happy, brisk yet caring nurse. He used to do the medication call. Poor guy. It can't be an easy job being a mental health nurse. It's an even harder job being a mental health inpatient, though. I win! He used to say it in the same particular way every time. It would start on a lowish note for medi, then rise up for K, then drop a little lower, not too much, for the shun. Medication. Like that. Medication. Like that. I observed it afterwards in my memory. I observed it at the time as well. I also transcribed the notes, not precisely but close enough for government work, onto the piano. The piano was okay with this. The piano and I were in agreement that yes, these notes were pretty good. Good. I shall play it to you sometime. It's a little eerie how happy it sounds, like how "Time for the gas chambers, everybody" might have sounded when said in a happy German accent. Not quite that bad, of course. Par for the course. The main course. 3 pills. Which one is the main one? Well, 2 of them were pink, so they can be the starter and dessert. I guess that leaves the white one. That'll have to be the main course. I knew nothing about the medication. I was not given a pamphlet for this. Do not exceed the stated dose. Do not use recreationally. These are the known side effects. Please swallow it all the way down and don't hide it under your tongue and spit it out in a minute. No pamphlet, leaflet, or armpit. Nothing. I suppose this would be a minor change they could introduce, but we don't want them to know too much. They might do things. They might say things if they know too much. They might revolt, for goodness sake. I remember at primary school looking around at these oppressive tall people called teachers and thinking, you know what, there's a lot more of us than there are of them. If it gets too bad and homework doesn't feel right anymore, I reckon we could take 'em down. 30 pupils to 1 adult. No problem, mate. These are 9, 10, 11-year-olds too. There's a lot of muscle power on a 10-year-old. I reckon we could take 'em. It never got that far. It wasn't even that bad, primary school. On reflection, it was quite enjoyable. I wouldn't mind going to primary school for adults for a month or so. Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah, I don't know why I was contemplating a mass pupils versus teachers coup, a revolution. I guess it was to do with the power dynamic. It's not very fair that these tall people get to boss us around and we don't get to boss them around equally. What gives them the right to boss us around? My mental arithmetic is as good as theirs, and I've got more gold stars than them. They don't even have any gold stars. In a way, I should be bossing them around. Ha! 'Cause they're tall and old. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. I reckon if we staged it right, we could have the bulk of the teachers tied up within an hour of registration being taken. We'll untie them eventually, but after we've got a hell of a lot more playtime out of the way. Good. I'd like to have a go at the pole vault that year sixes have been doing too. Year two-ness should be no prohibitory factor. Right, off we go. Pupils unite. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Mental health inpatients would be a bit more difficult to organise. I was too depressed about it all to put the work in anyway. Mental health inpatients are too sedated and too interested in aliens and such to get on with a good old-fashioned hostile takeover. Oh well, better luck next time. Next section. Some of my facts are a bit bent. I didn't bend them, and I most certainly will not be straightening them. I am neither a bender nor a straightener, remember? Ah, that was a relieving spunk into a fulfilling magic circle. I wonder when Mia Salmon will be showing up for her boob cupping. I need another coffee before I carry on. Luckily, I've never done anything illegal, and all the illegal things I've done I've been punished for already. It's not illegal to sniff cocaine, is it? And anyway, it would be your word against mine. Police. Did you sniff cocaine in your book? Fieros. Yes, I did. Police. No, you didn't. Fieros. I totally did. I sniffed it right out of the words on the page and up my hairy nose. Police. No, you didn't. I don't believe you. Fieros. Fine! Don't arrest me then. See if I care. Police. Look, mate, I'd love to arrest you, but I've got other things to be getting on with. Some kid is apparently shouting and screaming and getting aggressive at his parents. He sounds like a bit of a head case. I've got to go get the police van, and sort him out. Be back in a bit, Fieros. You enjoy your cocaine. Wink. Fieros. I can't be asked anyway. You can arrest me later when I feel the urge again. That was bizarre, wasn't it? Role reversal. Reversal role. Bah! Enough of this madness! Let's go somewhere safe. A bush. Nah, I've been hiding in there for a while. Ooh, I know where I can go. I can go into a description of sex. Some good sex. Look away now if you're sexually squeamish. You're going to see my full frontal genitalia. Pubes! Not for the faint-hearted. I had sex with Kelly on my grandmother's bed. Fuck this pen, it's running out. I have a new pen, much less an is. And us! There was no us with Kelly. We were quite clear about that. We were to be single together for a while. Those were the terms and conditions. It wasn't not strictly my grandmother's bed. She owned it, but I'll be buggered if she ever slept in it, especially if I'm sleeping in it. No, it was spare room number 2. There were 3 spare rooms at the time. She was gallivanting off on holiday for a week somewhere. I was psychotic, apparently. Spiritual journey, my arse. So my parents shipped me off to live at Granny's for a week. That's not strictly true either. My old nanny, Margie, was still on the scene in a cleaning, houseworky type role. She was houseworking at both my parents' house and my grandmother's house. Pubes! Shargi suggested I go stay at Granny's house. Margie knew I was having a hard time with my parents. I knew it too. It was a good suggestion. Well done, you. Kindness, see? Not medication. Yes, an excellent suggestion. I jumped at the chance for a week's respite from my parents' madness about my madness. Maggie never thought I was mad, but then she laughs a lot more heartily and readily, and is quicker to care than anyone I know. So what would she know? Blessed are the caregivers, for theirs is the heart of the world. She is a bit fat, though. Oh well, with fatness comes greatness sometimes. Better to be a bit chubby and a caring soul than skinny and eating other people's bogies unannounced, I say. Kelly came over. How on earth did this happen? I am quite as nonplussed and bemused as you. Who is this Kelly, anyway? Where does she pop out from? Perhaps a nearby bush? And how did she come to reveal her luscious, tanned and glistening body before me and rub her lips and tongue up and down my shaft? I know! Ha ha! I know more than you. Only teasing. It all begun. Stick to your guns, Fieros. Stick them to you with araldite. Aphrodite superglue. Stick those guns, stick them through and through. Get some guns first, then stick them to you through and through. That way you don't have to carry them around all the time. It all begins in various places. It begins at uni in the meeting room of the campaigns forum. It also begins at the Outback restaurant in 2004. It also begins under my bunk bed, lower bunk under there, when I was 4 years old with Maximus. Then it begins with a girl from 2 doors down who was the same age as me. But that's too graphic, and I'm not up for that now. Finally, it begins with my mum and dad moving about in a bed, presumably. Sex begets sex. Let's not dwell too long upon it. I feel like I'm revealing my sweaty pubes. Pubes! To an audience of people sitting about on sun loungers, sipping iced tea and looking up every now and again from my book to see my dancing pubes overlaid on the shimmering, crashing, surfy waves. I did warn you to look away. I could do with not having sex with Kelly in my grandmother's spare bed right now. I'd rather look at a flower or hide in a bush. I could squirrel my nuts away inside my pants. Only 1 pair for the moment. I'll take them off when I'm good and ready. There was nothing wrong with the sex. It was good. We both enjoyed it. I was better than her. Arrogance. My eyes are calling me to look at other things for a while, lest they cloud over. Avert your eyes from the page and take forth your recent learnings and, no full stop. Blessings be upon you. Kiss, kiss, kiss. I'm going to sleep for a week when this is done. I've nearly finished my task. 400 pages doesn't seem so bad after all. I'd like to quit now and then start again when Psych Ward 3, The Barbarian's Revenge Returns again, comes along with a new pucker refill pad, but I wouldn't want to leave you hanging pendulously, arms flailing, swirling around, looking at the bottom of a cliff and thinking, I wonder what happened to... No farting. Psych Ward 3, Potato Peeling from on High, by Fieros Reborn. Psych Ward 3. Task. Fill this pucker refill pad with 400 pages. No, not 400. It's probably got less than that now. Start again. Task. : What's with all the punctuation? Leave me alone or I'll punctuate you. Start again. Fine. Task. Fill this refill pad with Psych Ward 3 material, edited only a tiny amount, then self-publish on www.lulu.com. Also, type it up somehow before publishing it. Double also, proofread it involving some small chimpanzee. Marvellous. Let's go! Thursday, the 2nd of May, 2018. Around 10 years ago or so today, in 2008, keep up, I was incarcerated in Ward 10, the psychiatric ward of Wexham Park Hospital in Slough, Berkshire, England. Do you want the postcode? No. Good. I guess Psych Ward 3, Potato Peeling from on High, marks the 10-year anniversary of me being in a psych ward then, doesn't it? 10 years, eh? 10 years. As far as I'm aware, most of my psyche has been liberated from its confines within the 2 psychiatric wards I was forced to be contained within, but we shall see. Perhaps there are some dregs of non-liberatedness still kicking around in my emotional memory bank. We shall see. Hi, my name is Fieros Reborn. I died a bit after Psych Ward 2. I was actually some writing beast / machine fueled by nicotine, cigarettes, tobacco, women, fast cars, coffee, drugs, and eggnog. I was pooped. I actually already wrote Psych Wards 3 to 10, but then I had a particularly painful breakup with my girlfriend at the time and destroyed everything that wasn't already typed up. I had written a lot about her in the books, refill pads, and I didn't want to invade her privacy by publishing them. I did what I did, and I'm actually glad I did it. A lot of what I had written was twonkswobble. So, dearest reader, here we are with a fresh refill pad for me, a fresh little book for you, and a lot of pages to go through one way or another. Be prepared to be looking at a lot of words on pages for the duration. Hello again. Let me introduce myself properly now. My name is Fieros Reborn. I am 32 years old. That's as much as you're getting at the moment. Oh, and I am a male, but we won't go into that. So yeah, I was fucking cuntily knackered after I wrote Psych Wards 1 to 10 and then destroyed Psych Wards 3 to 10. So all I had left was Psych Wards 1 and 2. Fucking cuntily knackered, I tell you. I was wrecked, kablamoed, stuffed up the jumper, cream cheesed, slazenged. Right walloped I was. I also tried to reignite the Psych Ward spark many times before now, but I was just all out of spunk. I'm not exactly fully recovered as of yet either, but what the hell, I don't have anything else to do at the moment. I would honestly like to get on with some Psych Ward storytelling in this book, but we may have a similar problem to last time in that it takes considerable emotional effort and energy to write coherently about that time in my life. Still, I will give it my best shot. As long as I am vaguely on topic throughout the book, I'll be happy. Right. I don't smoke anymore. I don't drink caffeinated coffee anymore. I have new thick double glazing on my bedroom windows. I have a new, softly closing front door. All the above factors contribute to my nerves being slightly less jumpy and jittery than they were when I wrote Psych Wards 1 and 2. I tell you what though, quitting smoking was the most painful thing I have ever done. But smoking itself was starting to become the most painful thing I was doing, so I decided to stop, against the addiction's wishes, I might add. Coffee was fairly easy to quit. I just switched to decaf and didn't notice much of a difference. I notice it now, though. I had a regular coffee the other day by accident. Good thing there were no banana skins lying around on the floor, too. And I really noticed the caffeine. I've realised that life is stimulating enough without ingesting stimulants. However, life is not always depressing enough, hence alcohol. So, what do you want to know this time, Psych Ward 3 attendees? Friday, the 3rd of May, 2018. I am still alive and life continues to go on. I suppose I thought I would be most likely be dead from suicide by the age of 32. But I am alive and life continues all around and inside me. How do I know I'm alive at the moment? Because I need a poo. My bowels tell me I am alive. I poo, therefore I am. Back in a minute. That's better. Okay, so let's get started. I was first sectioned on a Section 2, which is a 28-day legal injunction to detain a person in a psychiatric facility for assessment and monitoring with a view to ascertaining a treatment plan. Later, my sectioning was upgraded to a Section 3, which basically allows for a rolling detention in chunks of 6 months at a time without a legal requirement for the terms to be reviewed during that time. These facts may be facts. They may not be facts. They may have been facts that are no longer facts. They feel roughly right as I remember it, but they also feel slightly unfacty, so look it up if you want to know the legal ins and outs of a sectioning under the Mental Health Act. The beast is awake again. We possibly shouldn't have disturbed it. It seems slightly less fearsome in this book. Maybe it is less scaly and is starting to grow some fur. Jim, are you there? Meh. As far as I'm aware, that meh means that Jim has become jaded with his own non-violent belief system. I think he thought it would lead him to some blaze of glory with people following his every word, with Neanderthals everywhere laying down their clubs and drinking Pims instead. I wouldn't mind taking a trip to the ether at some point. We'll see what happens. Saturday the 5th of May. Hey, you may notice that we have lost a day in between yesterday and today's date. I live at such a rapid rate that I can sometimes fit 2 calendar days into one. That and my watch's date facility, well, yeah, it didn't work properly. April only has 30 days, you see, according to popular rhyming theory anyway. And my watch's date facility goes up to 31, regardless of popular rhymes. I am 32, so I have transcended matters of time below that number. Harumph! It's all just the eternal now of the Tao of life and rim jobs anyway. So really, who cares about the date as such? I haven't been on a date in ages. Woe indeed is me. Woe equals me. Okay, just a little point here about the composition of this book. It is being composed by me as I go along, in case you hadn't noticed. If I had already written it in some future lifetime and I was just plucking words out of that future etheric book and transcribing them here, that would probably be easier. But no, it's just me sat at a round table by a big clear window in Sainsbury's cafe for common and or garden scum, including you. What I meant to write above was that a page for me is a page for you. So your book looks a lot like my refill pad, just with better handwriting and no faint ruled lines. Each page is a fresh page at the moment and a fresh chunk, a fresh breath of Psych Ward 3 material. The finale, the final one, the final coming. So, why was I sectioned on a Section 2 of the Mental Health Act in 2008? Well, from my perspective, I was in possession of deep spiritual and mystical wisdom, and I was experiencing God as manifest in myself and all the people around me. From everyone else's perspective, I was going through what was termed first episode psychosis, whatever that might be. As I understand it, psychosis is your bog standard form of madness, previously denoted as lunacy, nutterdom, colonic irrigation worship, and Faustian denial syndrome. The average psychotic nutter mutters things, can't keep both eyes looking in the same direction, gibbers, squawks, jumps up and down at random intervals, and believes themselves to be the messiah of some kind. What most normal people don't seem to understand is that, from the psychotic person's perspective, there's not much else worth doing. I don't really want to carry on right now. I feel like I've stumbled into that boggy marsh of 3 where no one knows what happens. I wonder how Jim is. He seems to be asleep. The beast is up and about, but he, she, or it seems to have that bewildered expression people have when they've just woken up from a nap and they're not sure if they should have woken up just yet or not. I tell you what, though, I really wouldn't mind a little trip to the ether if anyone's willing. Bah! I can't seem to get anyone off the ground. I feel like you're all riveted to your seats, wondering when I'm going to talk more about the actual ins and outs of Ward 10. Fieros Spaceline seems grounded at the moment. We should really go to the ether, though. I'm telling you, you get a much more colourful and magical, fantastical look at things from up there. You're really not ready for it yet, though, eh? We'll get there. I'll carry you myself there if I have to. I'll just get the old angel wings flapping a bit. Gah! You're all too heavy. Stop eating so many fatty foods. Bummer. Fieros burned out again. I feel like someone with a cigarette lighter trying to spark a joint, but the lighter just keeps clicking with no flame sparking up. I think Fieros has gone to sleep. Well, someone must be writing this. Who is it? Aquos? No, feels more like Sieros. Yes? I sense you have recognized my Sieric presence. Well, if you're Sieros, then who am I? Yes, indeed. Who are you? Egbert. Call me Egbert. Yes. What do you wish of me, Egbert? I want Fieros to come back. I feel deserted by him. Fieros needs his rest. Nuts. Yes, nuts. Okay, I feel like we segued into the etheric realm anyway. Sorry, I didn't realise it could happen so unannouncedly. Next time I will try to make it clear when we are abandoning the Earth realm for a higher plane of existence. Okay, help. I feel trapped inside the book again. There is no escape here. The exit sign is only painted onto a locked door. The walls are too high to climb. You are not allowed out without supervision, and a Section 17 leave form filled in and signed by you and a guardian. Breakfast is at 8 a.m, lunch is at 12 p.m, and dinner is at 5 p.m. Medication time is at 7 a.m. Medication! Medication! Medication, everyone! Medication time! Medication! Medication! Medication, everyone! Medication! Now I realise again why I put such a big gap in between writing the last book and starting this one. It's not exactly pleasant. I feel I need to pull out of the book in order to breathe, but I feel compelled to stay here. It's almost as if it's against the law to leave. The law is against my will. Hi. I feel like I'm furiously trying to scrabble my way out of the book. I could do with those wings now. There is a way out of the psych ward, you know, believe it or not. It's called believe what everyone else believes. Say what everyone else says. Act how everyone else acts. Think about yourself the way everyone else thinks about you. And most of all, take your medicines like a good boy. Sunday, the 6th of May, 2018. As you may or may not have noticed, the way I write the date seems to be constantly changing. Sometimes it's in words, sometimes caps locks, blah blah. Well, just be thankful I pointed it out. You could have gone through the whole book without noticing something as poignant as twats! Twats everywhere! Twats abound! Hi! It's me again, Fieros Reborn. I had a good old nap last night and I feel a bit more refreshed. I wouldn't say I am quite 100% sniff sniff tickety boo, but what can you do, eh? Life continues unabated. I should say that I am shortly going to be breaking the form of a page for me as a page for you because I'm getting bored of it. Hurrah! Now I can sprawl all around over the page. So what are we up to then, eh? Something about a psych ward? Sigh. Why does this keep dragging on, eh? It's like all I ever do is write about this blasted period of my life in these books. Why can't I write about other things here? Gah, the title is so restrictive. Just because I can break the form of a page for me as a page for you doesn't mean I will. Will I? Will I? Willie? Willie? Willie! Okay, so welcome back to Psych Ward 3, the place where all your dreams are confined to a small room with a bolted down window, a regular supply of dribblers, and no discernible way out. How did I even get there? It pretty much required prerequisite, exquisite pre-reading and re-pre-reading to have previously pre-read and re-pre-read Psych Wards 1 and 2 before reading this book. But even if you have read Psych Wards 1 and 2, and if you haven't, I will punish you by making all sorts of obscure references. Squirrel butts to all. Yeah, ahem. So even if you have read Psych Wards 1 and 2, I don't think you are still any the wiser. Always be wiser than everyone. You're still none the wiser as to how the crap-nutting, ass-butting, crap-hell, Sam-hell, Dickwell, how did I end up in a psychiatric ward, god damn it? Wouldn't you like to know, eh? What's it to you, half punk? It's gonna cost you, you know. These answers don't come cheap. During my first sectioning, I was just sitting on a pillow on the bed of a 35-year-old woman I was staying with when I heard a knock or a ring at the door. I was 21 years old. The sectioning was unsuccessful. Oh my god, I'm having to leave so much space in between chunks of story because I feel a little sick every time I write something that actually happened. I wonder if there is somewhere in between the past and the ether. The ether seems a bit of a high jump to make at this time. Well, there's the present, I suppose. But I'm just sat in a supermarket cafe on a Sunday afternoon in May, writing a book about my past dealings with the mental health services. There's not much worth commenting on in my immediate environment. I have a decaf coffee. There is terrible, crappy music in the background, but it's quiet enough to keep you in a light trance without raising your alertness levels to the point where you can actually make shrewd purchasing decisions, let alone question the fabric of our consumption-based society. Ring, ring. Is the beast there? Low growl. I'll come back later. Knock, knock. Jim? 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 Must still be asleep. Who else is here that we can talk to? Aquos? Hello there. Swimming to meet you, dear. How are you? Marvellous as such. What a lovely day and all that nonsense, eh? Nonsense aplenty. Always nonsense. Sorry, yes, I'm here. How may I be of service, dear person? Well, it's just that, Oh, don't worry. Just let it come. It will come, you silly little one. It will come. Just, do a bit, don't do a bit, rest, recuperate, have a bath, etc. Okay. Sierros? Yes. I sense there is a question. Yeah, well, maybe. One sec. I only have a few breaths for you today. Wait, don't go. Nuts. Nuts. Sierros. Sierros. Nuts. Well, it seems like this session is running out of steam. What did we cover today, class? Just from memory now. I was staying with a 35-year-old woman at the age of 21 when the mental health services attempted to section me and were unsuccessful. Anything else? There are various different characters with different ways of speaking living inside me. Aquos, Egbert, Sieros. What else? Writing about these long-forgotten memories makes me feel sick, and I need to pace myself with lots of space and strategic trips to levels of awareness other than deep memory in order to stay feeling okay. Very good. Right, dear reader, I'm off now. Catch you tomorrow. I wonder how I will write the date tomorrow, eh? Mon, 7th May 2018. Hi. This book sucks. It's too jumpy. I barely have any idea what's going on, so what chance do you have? I'm hoping everything will become clear eventually. I'm not being mysterious and erratic on purpose, you know. The book has its own will and its own wishes. I basically just sit here and apply enough pressure to the pen to keep it moving. My handwriting is awesome today, don't you think? You know that sicky feeling I mentioned yesterday? Well, I felt it all day until I went to bed. It wasn't pleasant. Still, if that's the worst consequence of my time in the psych ward, I reckon I'm doing pretty well. Others do not get away from the psych ward so lightly. In fact, everyone I met in the psych ward has not gone on to such greatness as feeling a little sicky about it while writing their memoirs. One person I knew is dead. He died in Ward 12 of natural causes while still squawking and barking, "Sister! Sister! Nurse! Nurse! He's a bad man, sister! Send him back to Ward 10! Sister! Sister!" Another is still 80% delusional, yet manages to deal with day-to-day living well enough, apart from being banned from nearly every pub in his local area because his strange beliefs tend to incite the rage of other people against him. He also swears profusely, which doesn't help. Another one, the last time I saw her, she was hustling for spare change, begging on the street. Another, the last time I saw him, he was sat in the reception of a community mental health facility, dribbling, staring into nothingness, and barely able to string a sentence together. Still, that's an improvement on lying on the floor in a starfish position, roaring and wailing loudly. Someone else. She is most likely still there or in and out regularly, I would have thought. While we're on the topic of where are they now, I may as well extend the discussion to people who I didn't meet in the psych ward directly, but people I have met via association who have been in a psychiatric facility as an inpatient at some point. One person leads a relatively normal life but struggles to hold down a job for any length of time and has a similar issue with relationships. She also is a bit in and out of the psych ward, going back for a refresher on her madness every year or two just for good measure. Someone else is still alive, but not really by her own wishes. She has scars on her neck from where she has slit her own jugular in various suicide attempts. She has also hung herself unsuccessfully in the forest on at least one occasion, maybe more by now. Another person is thriving to some degree as a singer-songwriter after a few failed suicide attempts herself, with painkillers. Someone else I know is doing pretty well. She looks healthy, slimmer than before, has a regular self-employed job, a 2-year-old daughter, and a long-term partner. And then there's me, author, artist, musician, sexual healer, king of the world, and jobless hermaphrodite all in one. One Fieros fits all. I guess I'm doing all right. Shall we take a trip to the ether for a bit of light relief? Yes, 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 no, yes, 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 no, yes, 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 no, yes, no, yes. Yes, it is. Hello, Jim. Meh. How are you? Meh. I see. Meh. Okay, go back to sleep since you have nothing intelligent to say. I don't think we can really just summon the beast as such, although I swear he started wearing glasses and pokes out a little claw finger when he sips his tea. He seems to change sex at will also, doesn't she? Snarls. What about Aquos? Hello, dear. Good to see you again. How's the old psych ward kettle of fish getting along then? Swimmingly? Marvellous. Well, mustache. Hold up. Yes. Well, I'd like to spend a bit more time with you. You're very flitty. I only have so much energy to sustain myself as Aquos dearie, so I'm afraid until I get more water, the emotion of life, I shall be, as you say, flitty. So you need more water, Ray, the emotion of life. Well, he's gone. Okay, what about Sierros? Yes, I am here. What do you wish to know? You do not see what is before you. You only see the grit in your mind's eye. I don't understand. Sorry, but Munch. Hey. Yes. Don't be so rude. Such is the nature of my soul. You may resist, but I suggest you instead desist. Fine, whatever. Be gone, you. Now, what about Fieros Wilson? Is he here? I'm in pain. I'm dead. Oh, then how am I here? I must be a reincarnation of Fieros Wilson. It's a pity the dead don't have a voice, but I can feel him. He feels like a gravestone, but he's still there. How can he be entirely dead if his book still exists and I can still feel him in my soul? Tew 8 May 2018. Gah. I don't feel great today. I think it's atmospheric. It's the day after a beautiful bank holiday weekend, and I think everyone is depressed and zombified again because it's a lovely day and they're all back at work. So this is Psych Ward 3, Potato Peeling from on High. You already know more of the actual story after only a few pages in this book than you knew after 100 pages of Psych Ward 1. But are you any the wiser? Unfortunately, I feel so choked and squashed by this oppressive atmosphere today that I don't think I will have the ability to write much more. As I look around the cafe, this is what I see. People distractedly eating, reading the paper and looking at their phones, all at the same time while simultaneously lost in their thoughts. People staring off into space. People looking at the thoughts in front of their eyes and wondering if they are better to look at than the world itself. People grazing like cows on lunchtime meals with no discernible indication that they know they are eating. People eating while considering their thoughts. People scratching their heads and looking around gormlessly while eating and maintaining distracted conversations. People waiting in queues, staring into space and thinking how quickly their lunch break is disappearing. People exerting great concentration to maintain a sense of unhappiness in themselves. One bloke seems pretty focused on his laptop, but in a somewhat maniacal way. The above are expressions of what we would call spiritual unawareness, non-mindfulness, somnambulation, denial of the present moment, waking unconsciousness. The level of awareness these people are currently displaying is comparable to someone trapped in 3 layers of a dream, Inception style. You could probably get more sense out of a horse than these people at this time. Last time I spoke to a horse, I could tell he was listening because he got a boner to acknowledge that he was paying attention. These people's eyes are open, but their souls are asleep. This unconsciousness creates a heavy, hazy, fractured emotional atmosphere, and I, being sensitive to such things, feel it. This is the collective sedation of humankind. It does look like everyone woke up this morning and took a few tranquilizers just to help them through the day without seeing, hearing, nor feeling too much. In one sense, you could say that it's peaceful here, because nothing much is standing out and squealing, shouting, exploding, nor being killed, apart from maybe the joy of life. But it's not really peaceful, it's docile and sedate. If you were at peace, you presumably would be aware that you were at peace. These people aren't aware that they are distracted, daydreaming, and sedate, so they most certainly aren't aware that they are at peace. 1, they're not at peace. 2, they are distracted. 3, eggs. I rest my case. Kiss. Good luck with getting any psych ward story out of me today. The cafe looks like a less pronounced version of the psych ward anyway. There was one person in Ward 12 who demonstrated these shifting levels of awareness quite well. This person was a woman of about 40 to 45 years old, blonde curly hair, and had a name that I can't say nor remember. Anyway, in the morning she would wake up and she would speak in a scared, paranoid, persecuted way about how the ward was being run as a prison by the MI5. In a way, she had a point because a psychiatric ward is effectively a prison. But my point is not about that aspect at this time. Later in the day, she would appear more sane and would appear happier, brighter, and more engaged in what we might call normal conversation. The paranoia wasn't present, and you could see that she appeared alert and present to her immediate environment. The next day, she would wake up and go through 3 to 4 hours of paranoid fantasies, misinterpreting the intentions of everyone around her as being malevolent towards her. Then, who knows why, she would become a normal human being. In fact, above normal in that she would appear alert, intelligent, encouraging, kind, and genuine. Bizarre, eh? In a similar way, these cattle-like scums in the cafe will go through various levels of awareness and attentiveness to themselves, others, and their surroundings. However, just as some guidance, the less alert and self-aware you are, the more your life tends to go badly, and the more you tend to ruin other people's lives without realizing it. It's also pretty hard not to get sucked into this unobservant state because, like I said earlier, it's a collective daze. Even if you are fairly alert and at ease, relaxed and focused, if you walk into a place rife with this collective unobservance, you may find your eyes randomly glazing over and going stony yourself. Look up and around wherever you are. Look up. Now! Wed 9 May 2018. Slowly the date is disintegrating. Hi, hello, welcome. Yes, today is still today. Good day. Hello, wake up. The book is here. Yes, I am here. Yes. Hello, wakey wakey. People seem more alert in the cafe today. They appear to be actually talking to one another and actually registering what the other is saying. Their eyes look clearer, brighter, and overall people's posture is less slouched. What has changed? The weather is pretty much the same as it was yesterday, warm and sunny with little clouds. It's roughly the same time of day as when I was writing yesterday, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m.ish. And yet today, even the distracted eaters plus phone plus newspaper people seem less distracted and more alert. I wish I could predict this kind of thing because it's annoying being at the mercy of humankind's collective moods. Yesterday I felt heavy, weighed down and pained by it. Today I feel similarly bright, to the point where if you asked me how I was, I could probably reply, "Fine, thanks, you?" And it would be vaguely accurate. Well, whatever, stupid collective consciousness. Let's get back on topic. Same date, different page. Sorry, I haven't really been checking in with you yet, dear bleeder. How are you? Jeez, I didn't ask for your life story. Okay, shut up now, please. I would like to carry on writing the book rather than giving you space to vent your spleen. Shut up! Shut up! Shut the fuck up now! Thank you. I actually don't know why I was sectioned in the end. For now, let's just run with the story, the what happened and the how it happened, because there may never be a simple, neat one-liner that accurately describes why what happened, how it happened. Happened. I can tell you a few things just now, but don't push me for how they fit into an overarching narrative. Let's just go with some facts for the moment. Ward 10 had a Jenga puzzle. Ward 10 was on the first floor of the hospital. Therefore, I was not in contact with the ground at any point during my 6 days' stay there. This was deeply unsettling and distressing and disorientating for me. Not only was I contained with my freedom of movement and location restricted, but I was contained above ground. Ward 10 was on the first floor and had a smoking room. Ward 10 had this weird old electric organ thing. I escaped Ward 10 of Wexham Park Hospital, absconded, and lived for roughly a month in the loft room of an acquaintance I had met previously while busking in Windsor. I was resectioned and taken to Ward 12 in Heatherwood Hospital. Ward 12 was in Ascot, Buckinghamshire's Heatherwood Hospital, and was the psychiatric ward in 2008 when I stayed there. Ward 12 had a piano. Ward 12 was on the ground floor. Ward 12 was overall a much more pleasant place to be. Ward 12 was on the ground floor and had a garden area for smoking. I escaped from Heatherwood's Ward 12 once, but only briefly. I chose to return to the hospital of my own free will, realizing that it would never end if I kept escaping all the time. Okay, I can't do any more of that right now. It's too hard. Let's leave the session for today and see what tomorrow's session brings. Bye. 10 May 18. I don't really want to do any psych ward writing today, so I won't. Sun, 12 May 18. Okay, hi, hello, yes, it's me, the author. Welcome back. I had a few days off because, well, I just did. Let's talk about work addiction. No. Okay, let's not. I was work addicted when I wrote Psych Wards 1 and 2. I would get up every day and with no motivator other than my inner slave driver, I would get on my bike, my push bike, and ride, sometimes for an hour, to a coffee shop, write for 4 to 8 hours, then ride, sometimes for an hour, home. I hope you are exhausted by the previous sentence. I'm not upset with myself that I did it. It was just what I felt like doing at the time, but it did ruin me. As I've previously mentioned, I was addicted to coffee, nicotine, alcohol, and women. We can now add working for no financial reward to the list. Why am I telling you this? I guess I want to broaden the concept of psych ward because it is clear to me that the difference between nutters in the loony bin and everyday insanities such as littering is one of degree, not of kind. I see that most of humankind is involved in a kind of low-level insanity, if we define insanity as being out of touch with reality. Listen to anyone talking for long enough and it will become clear that there are things they say that differ vastly from what you know to be true. The main form of insanity, though, is the belief that you as an individual are somehow more important than any other individual just on the basis that you are here and they are there. You inhabit your body, therefore you are important. No one else inhabits your body, therefore, comparatively, all others are less important to you than you are to you. This also comes with a certain amount of screening out other people from your awareness. It also includes screening out a lot of visual sights and auditory sounds. It includes screening out physical sensations and emotional feelings. It includes screening out gut hunches and intuitive knowledge. And last but not least, it involves screening out what we would refer to as psychic phenomena. There is also a strange phenomenon, which is where, when you talk to people, you notice that their conversation revolves around things that are not currently in existence where they are right now. Some examples. I was in a pub. An old lady wanted to talk about the buses and their terrible timetabling. I was on a bus. Two lads were talking about where they were 2 weeks ago, what they might do in 2 weeks' time, where they had come from today, and where they were going today. I was with my dad at his new house, and he referred to occurrences that happened in his old house as happening here, in his new house. A girl I was chatting to was lamenting no longer being on holiday in Mallorca. It's as if people somehow believe themselves to be in existence somewhere other than where they actually are. It is also clear to me from the amount of people watching that I do that no one is observing their environment. How do I know? Because I am observing my environment. It is very rare that I see anyone sitting there and just looking around to see what's going on. It's only when something dramatic happens, like the time a drunk guy was tasered by police in Sainsbury's, that anyone pays attention to what's going on around them. So, in a way, the whole world lives within its own psych ward, subtly out of touch with the fullness of reality that is available at any given moment. We are all seemingly trapped within the perimeters of our own pre established habitual thought, behavioral, and emotional patterns. This is why people bump into each other a lot. Okay, so I went to my dad's yesterday. We went through some old materials that we had previously used for some presentations we did at schools and conferences on the topic of psychosis. I will now try to recall the timeline of events from my psychosis. This timeline was present on a couple of the slides on a PowerPoint presentation we used. Dropped out of uni, section attempt, unsuccessful. Destitute in New York City, successfully sectioned, Wexham Park, Ward 10. AWOL, sectioned again, Ascot, Heatherwood, Ward 12. Released into the care of CMHT, Community Mental Health Team. Suicidally depressed for a year or so. Depressed yet functional for 2 years. And now my emotion levels are running out. I guess that's the end of today's session. Mun, 14/5/2018. Time is preciously slipping away. Hi, it's Psych Ward 3, potato peeling from on high. Who is potato peeling from on high? You are. Get used to it. You are potato peeling from on high. Do you accept your fate with contentment, or do you reject your fate with complainment? Why is there so much space in this book? Well, if you investigate carefully, you will find that all books of the same size have the same amount of space in them as this book. It's just that most people are so afraid of or uncomfortable with open, empty spaces in their books that they have to fill all that space with gobbledygook that they think is worth gobbledygooking about. So, we've had the timeline of events. Unsuccessfully sectioned, went to New York on a spiritual healing mission, returned to England, was sectioned successfully or unsuccessfully from my point of view. There was nothing successful about any of the sectionings I was put through. The only way I could feasibly call the sectionings successful would be if I took on superhuman abilities to control other people and the universe, and then decided that I would orchestrate a group of mental health professionals to come to my house uninvited and to will the events to occur in the favour of me being taken to hospital. No, there was nothing successful about me being sectioned. My view of my own experience, my view of the system, and my view of the behaviour of those around me was totally discounted. Calling someone mentally unwell is an exceptionally potent way to make sure the spotlight of observational attention is never put on your own behaviour. When it's so clear that someone else is malfunctioning, we can conveniently escape labelling our own minds and behaviours in that way. Of course, every raving lunatic says it's not them that's the problem, it's everyone else. But perhaps they have something of a point. Personally, I think that selected mad people are products of a collectively mad society that, as part of its madness, is in denial of the bulk of its madness. Therefore, the nutter is the only person who is living in honesty. Not that I'm bitter or anything. I feel like Jim and all the crowd from the ether want to make themselves known. Everything seems to be getting very serious around here all of a sudden, doesn't it? Well, if you can find joy and magic in a psych ward, you can find it anywhere. But maybe this is the time for seriousness. You can't be light-hearted all the time, because then you'd miss out on such emotions as sadness, strength, courage. It's not always the time to joke and mess about, but most of the time it is. I quite like meaning. What is meaning? To me, meaning is a powerful, emotionally felt experience of being in touch with the richness and majesty of life. The importance of life in all its forms. How precious and wondrous all of life is. When you feel this strong sense of the value of all life and of all experience, and when you feel it deeply emotionally, this, for me, is the experience of meaning. I am feeling it now as I write about it. Meaning is generated by observing more, feeling more, processing events more, and honouring yourself, others, and life more. Meaning is generated by being true to yourself, acting in authenticity with yourself and others, and following the truth of your heart. You also have to make a decision to open yourself up to receiving life. This means learning to think less and just be, feel, notice life more. I think Jim is connected with his inner truth. In a way, I think we all assumed that Jim, standing on that high rock and proclaiming defiantly, Meh! I think we all assumed that in some way that moment, that image would last forever. Oh, how Jim has fallen, though. No one heard him. It was indeed a marvellous, brilliant, powerful moment. His message was strong, his aura intense. The power of his call to non-violence would change the face of the planet. And everyone was too busy clubbing everyone else over the head to hear, let alone listen. Perhaps Jim should go down and beat a few people over the head so that they will listen. But no, that has no integrity in light of his message. So what can Jim do? Will he achieve some positive change in his world before his nutsack gets stuck in that icy crevice? What will be the meaning of Jim's life if he does not succeed? Is it success enough for him to have tried? I feel you to be meaningful, Jim, even if no one else does. Wed 16/5/18. See, now, I don't know what those numbers and lines refer to. It was better when I wrote the date out longhand. My hand is of average length. Hi, welcome back. Today is the day of life. The only day there is, Wednesday. All of life exists floating in a holographic Wednesday in space-time. I don't think it is space-time anymore. Now it is lots of words time. Time for lots of words. I'll make you a deal. If I carry on writing, you carry on reading my words. How about that? Deal. Awesome. I'm glad you're on board. Fieros Space Line's now boarding. Destination? Ether. So, what have you been up to lately then? Reading a book, eh? Sounds interesting. What's it about? Dropped out of uni, Reading, England. Destitute in New York City, New York, USA. Say what? Yeah, so what? What's it to you, punk? Apparently, I dropped out of uni after 2 months of the second year. I say apparently because it is only apparent to other people's limited, cut and dry, social status driven approach to conversation. From my perspective, I began a path that was more suited to my desires and spiritual beliefs. Plus, I didn't think that accumulating masses of debt in order to paint, draw, and read books for 4 years was really worth it after all. I figured I can paint and draw and read books at home for a fraction of the cost. Oh, I should mention the courses I was doing. Well, I initially started at the University of Reading, enrolled on a BA in Art and Psychology. I think the weighting was split 60-40. However, I went to the introductory lecture for psychology and realised it was basically a brainal biology class. Nuts to this, I thought. I had chosen psychology because I had the vaguely formed idea of helping people. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people. Let's say it one more time. I wanted to be a good boy in my mother's eyes. Oops, well that just popped out, didn't it? No, I wanted to help other people by solving their problems for them. No, that's not quite right. What did I say before? I chose psychology at uni because I thought I could get praise and love by helping others. Bah, I didn't write that to begin with. Let me try again. Sorry, readers. Some Freudian slip-based being is taking over my pen at the moment. It could be Sierros. Yes? Ah, nuts, now she's here. Anyway, let's try that again. I chose psychology as a secondary subject at Reading University because I had read Malcolm Gladwell's book Blink, and therefore thought I knew something about psychology, and therefore I should be a psychologist. That's not what I wrote to begin with. I wanted to help other people. One more time. I chose psychology at university because I thought I was some genius psychologist already, and I wanted to help people because Robin Williams in the film Patch Adams had found happiness by helping other people. Okay, fine. Maybe there were multiple reasons and emotional forces that made me choose psychology at uni. I wanted to help people. Psychologists help people. Also, the Dalai Lama in his book said that the way to a meaningful life is to help others. I still can't help feeling like the real reason for all this was wanting society's approval. I wanted to feel like a good boy. I wanted to get the praise of being a helpful person. I wanted people to notice me and say how helpful I was. Helpful is good. If I am helpful, I am good. Being good makes me feel good. I wanted to help people because the Dalai Lama said it was a good to help people. I wanted to get the Dalai Lama's approval. I wanted to feel like a good boy. I wanted to be recognized as a good person. I chose psychology because I wanted to be told I was a good person. Pretty shallow motivations when you think about them, eh? Anyway, as I say, I took one look at the first hour of psychology in the lecture theatre and thought, this is basically just biology. How is this going to help me help people now? I didn't want to wade through 4 years of science nonsense before I was qualified to ask someone how they were and listen to their problems. So I marched along to my personal tutor and said, I want to change course from a BA in art and psychology to one in art and philosophy. I also want to do some politics and international relations modules too. So I changed course and did a year of art, philosophy and politics modules. Maybe I should explain those choices. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. Fiera space lines now ready for takeoff. Please have your seats in the upright position. There may be a strange sensation as we break into the etheric realm. Purple fish, orange lemon, green woman, pink salamander, red water, blue alien, yellow sky. Rainbows are actually made of yogurt, by the way. Ah, that's better. This is how the world is supposed to be. Full of magic and colour. Oh, there's the space fish chasing a space penis as usual. Did you know that the colour of space can change depending on your preference? My space is purple at the moment. Wave to the seahorse angels. That green pigeon shouldn't be here. He's not due till Friday. Watch out! Giant fart cloud! No! I've done enough today. Catch you around, pipsqueaks. Sunday, 1st July 2018. Hi. I took a break. Not sure really why. Does there always have to be a because? I just did. Roughly a month and a half. I just didn't feel like writing in Psych Ward 3. The way I'm writing about not writing for a month and a half sounds like I feel like the book will punish me or castigate me for not writing for so long. I feel like I have to justify my decisions to you, dear reader. But your reality is that the book is already finished and complete. How can it be that you hold the full book in your hands and yet I am here in the Sainsbury's wilderness, clueless about what happens next? I haven't read back through the stuff that came before this page, by the way, so I have no idea what's been going on up to this point. I'm like a drunk who stumbled into a pub not realizing it's been hired for a private party. So I'm sat here going, where's the guy who looks like Gandhi? He's normally here by now. Anyway, I digressed. Okie dokie, let's hit the ground, do a ninja roll, then run off down the page with the reader huffing and chuffing and puffing in hot pursuit. I wonder whether the grim salamander will show up today. What about Jim? I realised that Jim is not just non-violent, he is human. I feel like he's still sat in a cave, surveying the surroundings, the horizon, and picking his own fleas and eating them. There's good meat on fleas if you pick enough of them. I think Jim would probably prefer goose, or the same amount of grim salamanders as he has fleas. But fleas is what there is, so he'll pick 'em till something bigger waddles by. Kapow! A small fish had leapt up out of the primordial soup, tried its best to grow wings, failed, flapped around in protest about how he should be allowed to fly, and then was whacked over the head by Jim's cold, hard fist. No more clubbings. And then I was sat outside an elevator, just looking at it. I'm surprised that none of the psych ward hospital staff noticed that I was planning an obvious escape through the elevator. I guess they didn't believe someone would be so blatant. Well, I decided that it was a moral indignity that I was there, and I had decided that I'd had enough and that it was time to escape. I had packed my bag and just sat directly opposite the elevator, waiting for the right moment to escape. I saw this whole thing like being in a scene in the film The Rock, starring Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. Connery's character uses the knowledge he gained from escaping Alcatraz to help a SWAT team enter the now disused prison. Connery's character noted that there was a certain timing to one of the mechanisms of the prison, and with careful observation and a precision roll at the right second, he could get past what looked like an impassable impasse. I'm very pleased about those two last words. Impassable impasse. So, in my own high-stakes operation to escape my very own Alcatraz, I had made a keen observation of my own. The ward kitchen was being redecorated, and there were painted decorators using the lift every now and then. I decided that, since they didn't know who I was, I could quite easily be, from their perspective, just a visitor. I realized that the only difference between a visitor and me was that, well, nothing really from the outside. I guess I was also relying on the fact that the average Joe Schmo, not familiar with all the ridiculous mental health laws, just really wasn't thinking about who was there and whether they were allowed out or not. I'm pretty sure that the guy I stood next to in the lift on my way down to freedom was thinking about tartan paint and when the next new batch was going to be ready. I think we should evaporate from the earthly realm of the past and nip clandestinely sideways into the ether for a bit. Strange. The ether seems like it's composed of stale fart material, which, as we all know, is turquoisey grey. I was expecting something a bit more fandango than this. Ugh! It's like swimming through lukewarm sludge made of room temperature ice cream with all the flavours in the world blended into one and then salt added. Ew! Gross! I think someone needs to agitate the etheric space fabric and get it rippling and shimmering again. Anyone? Oi! Fieros? Damn it. Aquos? Sierros? Shut up. I'm in deep meditation. God damn it. Why are all my sub-personalities so reticent today? It's like an element graveyard in here. Okay. Wind. Eros. Whoosh. Rising on an updraft. Whoosh. Gliding on the wing. Swish. Over to the left. Left side up a bit. Steadying. Hovering. Hey! Hi. How's it going? Fine. Wow. Someone seems a little crisp today. Cheese and onion. I am not a potato. Yeah, okay, the more you tell yourself that, the more true it becomes. Hey! What? I am not a potato. Oh, really? That's what you think? Yes! I am not a potato, Lord. I am not a potato. All right, mate, calm yourself. We can't all be potatoes like you. I am not a foreskin. I am not a potato. Well, what are you then? I am Eros, Wing Commander, son of Fieros. I am here to raise you up. I am a hurricane of happiness. I am the tornado of truth. Lift, lift, elevator. I am the elevator. Whoosh, whoosh, flap. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Breathe, woman, breathe, breathe. Do you feel suspended? Monday, the 2nd of July, 2018. I'm still not settled about how to write the date. Tuesday, 3rd July, 18. Congratulations, you made it this far. You're still alive. You must be, or you would not be reading this. If one tree claps in the woods, does it land on the Pope shitting on a bear? If a tree falls in the woods when no one's around, does it make a sound? What is the sound of one hand clapping? Do bears shit in the woods? Is the Pope Catholic? Holy moly! It's psych ward in time. Crapnoids. Here's what suicidal depression feels like. Trapped in a tiny space, and I am a giant. The walls closing in at all times, the walls closing in on all sides. My perception is that even the sun in its brightness is dull and black. Its light is against me, and its joy is mocking me in my despair. Everything in the world is covered with a thick layer of grey psychic pain. So whenever I look into my room or outside at the trees, I'm immediately thrown back into the dark, torturous, pain-filled cell inside my mind. My body is numb and dead. In fact, I'm barely aware of it. Only the urges to sleep, eat, fart, piss, and defecate reach my awareness. My laughter sounds hollow, short-lived, and devoid of feeling, and there's not very much of it. The main feeling is that of being trapped, 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 contained, 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 confined, 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 limited, 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 and no escape. Nothing works to make me undepressed. I am trapped inside the small space in the front of my head, and all I'm aware of is psychological and emotional pain, and the painful abstract reasons that support the feeling that everything is wrong, everything is hopeless. There is no way out of this pain. There is no cure for this feeling. It will never end. The only way out is suicide. Well, that sucks, doesn't it? Mun, 8th Jul 2018. Go date yourselves. Go date yourself. You, date yourself. You, date you. Fall in love with yourself. Seriously, you're not half bad. Go fuck yourself and make sure you enjoy it. Copulate with your inner soul. Go shag your innermost essence. Get down onto your whatever. Let's get it on. In other nudes, it's 1 p.m. precisely, accounting for the illusory nature of time by ignoring the illusory nature of time. Welcome back. It's Psych Ward 3, potato peeling from on high. Are you feeling peeled yet? Or should I peel back some more potatoey tearjerkers? Jerk off! Hi, Fieros. Hello! Which Fieros are you? Don't use exposition so brazenly, you scum. Fine, Fieros Wilson to you. You can't Fieros Wilson. He quits. This, my dears, is a continuous session, trotting from page to page in a forward-moving motion in my refill pad without spacing things out in precise synchronicity for you, dear readers, as I had been doing before. A page for me is no longer a page for you. Thus, we are no longer on the same page at the same time. Aghast! Good Lord! Whatever shall we do? You shall die. Die, scums! Boff! Anyway, hello, yes, it's me, Fieros Reborn. I don't know if I told you, but Fieros Wilson died of suicide at the end of Psych Ward 2. Woe was him, etc. Of course, life must go on, even for the dead. So I rose from the ashes of his frazzled carcass, and here I am. I'm a bit like a giraffe calf, though, in that I plop out from a great height and I can already walk, read, and write from birth. Leaves beware. Who said life has to make sense? I did. Theoretically, it would be good if life made sense, wouldn't it? However, in practice, life rarely makes sense. Here's my theory as to why life doesn't make sense most of the time. We have 1,000,000,000 billion gazillion people in this world these days, and only 5% of them are paying any attention to anything. of those 5% that are paying attention to things, only 5% know what to do in order to make things make sense. So we better just shut up and get on with it then. Yes. Fine. Jim almost had an idea then. I saw him raise his head. His head was looking down. He was drawing little lines in the dirt with twigs and watching the ants run about in the lanes he'd created, but they just wouldn't conform. They just ran all everywhere and not in the narrow lines he had delineated. It was then that Jim almost had an idea. It was as though the idea was hovering above his head, and all he had to do was raise his head up high enough for it to wiggle into his brain like an earwig. But, as we know, he was not quite ready for the idea. It did seem pretty big as his head was on the approach to it, so the bigness of the idea might explode his brain, so better not, just not right now anyway. Sometimes you have to wait until various other things have clicked into place before you can go, aha, and jump in and out of a bathtub trying to remember which word geniuses use when they've come up with a good idea. Ulrika? Diarrhea? Who cares? Moving on. So I was trapped inside a hospital ward that may as well have been a prison. Technically, it was a prison. I was legally bound to stay there, and there was a legal injunction to return me if I left without permission. Permission. I don't want to stretch the prison metaphor too far because it would mean stretching my brain. My brain is quite happy lying around in the couch of my skull cavity and does not agree to engage in any unnecessary stretching nor bending. Right, let's have a review of the story so far. I was 18. Sally and I had broken up, or just our relationship had disintegrated like a cookie in an oil spill. And I was single. A key member of my band, Silent Dawn, had left around that time too. So I was single and my band was down to a 3-piece. I did have a job and a car, and a 3-piece band though, so that was still something. I really missed Sally and I still think about her fondly to this day, but I have to move the story along as refill pads only last so long. I think that I can pinpoint the precise moment where my life went wrong. It all happened with a haircut. Damn hairdressers. My hair had gone through various different styles and colours by the time I started working at the Outback Steakhouse. At the time I joined, at the age of 19, my hair was shoulder length and dyed purpley browny black. Here's the thing. I had made an internal decision to give Sally until New Year's Day 2005 to return. If she hadn't returned to me by January 1st, 2005, I was going to cut my hair short and move on, whatever that might mean. Well, January 1st came along and Sally had made no indication of returning, so chop, snip, buzz, the hair was gone. Well, not all of it, but it was short, ginger, and spiked into a sort of triangle shape. That was a moment of doom. No sooner than I cut my hair, one of the gays at the restaurant, Cuthbert, began to show an interest in me. I had always been called gay by people at school, but to be openly gay at my school did not come with any perks, only stigma and taunting. So I did not feel that it was an option to even consider that I might fancy men. I don't think I actually did fancy men, but the lack of freedom around fancying men was enough to want to explore it as an option. Once I was out of school and the gay ban of homophobic taunting had lifted, that is. So boom, I'd cut my hair, and now Cuthbert, a gay male aged 17, was pursuing me. He told me he wanted to convert me. I was not really up for it, but as I say, curious. I felt I had to make sense of my sexuality and see if I actually was gay, as the taunters at school had been saying. It was liberating to be in an environment where campness, eccentricity, flamboyance, individuality of style and persona was not only accepted but encouraged. At the Outback, it was okay to be me. I now see the taunting at school was as not really being about homophobia at all. It was about conformity to rigid social norms. It's strange how the school grounds seem to amplify the anxieties that adults hold but do not express so outwardly. The shame that the older generation unconsciously harbor are the shames that the older generations unconsciously harbor are expressed in the shaming of schoolyard bullying. The identity structures that adults deeply repress within themselves find expression in the teens in the playground. Just a theory.